our generation has gone through a lot of family traumas, because our generation was the connecting point between the, let's say, modernized internet world and our generation. They have X amount of trauma in their family.
That's the core for everyone.
But this realization happens after you go through that process.
Wherever we have spent time and whatever emotions we have gathered over that time, like it leaves an imprint on it, becomes a pattern of ours, right?
Bas paisa kamao, and that's the only thing that matters. Because I can only be happy if I can experience life at its fullest.
Now, here I'm not really talking about the actual purpose that you're born for. That might take its own course, that might take its own time that you come to a realization. You need to stay aligned with things that used to give you happiness, that used to give you like a sense of fulfillment.
Person is moving on a path of spirituality. How important is it to have a guru?
I am not looking at those 10 other things, but my mind is such a vast thing that it will grasp a lot of background things that are going around.
So yeah, you were saying.
Yeah. What I was saying was that, whenever you do come back, so initially, like what has happened when you step out of your house, right?
The family trauma.
Yeah, the family
Yeah.
topic. When you step out of your house, like basically if you're living in a confined set of space, in a small city, for example, right? Where like in childhood you have faced a lot of like generational trauma, or you have faced like a lot of such experiences that have sort of like you can say like took a toll on your childhood experience, right? And it stayed with you, it had such a deep impression in your life.
Yeah.
That as soon as you step out of your house, like as soon as you go to like a different place, it's a change of place, it's a drastic change of place, right? Which gives you the sense of freedom that, oh my god, I am liberated. Like, I don't need to listen to anyone, I don't need to even like experience the suppression that I was facing, and I'm free. So you break free in a way, right?
Yeah.
And then like once you have experienced a kind of lifestyle, it's very difficult to like come back home in this sense, because first of all, home is associated with a certain set of traumas. Okay, so when you step into your house again, even if I have a Diwali vacation, I am coming back, right? So you know that, oh my god, I'm going to be triggered by some 100 things.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I used to have that experience, okay, when I hadn't processed my trauma,
Yeah.
that I would come, do the Diwali, and just immediately go. Like,
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, okay, my duty, like, I'm just gonna get done with it and, leave the house, because I don't want to experience the same thing. I have escaped from it physically. But the point is, I haven't escaped from it emotionally, right?
Yeah.
I haven't processed it yet, like,
Yeah.
fully. That is why I'm escaping. I'm like taking this route of escape. So I would just want to escape it every now and then. And that happened for like a lot of years, man. Until finally, like I actually processed it, and I decided, because what takes courage is to stay, to experience the same thing, and to experience it in a way that it is objective, more than it is causing you any sort of sadness. Like,
Yeah.
you're getting what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say, right?
Yeah.
So now when I come back, I have the courage, right? So now when I come back, I am actually looking at the same set of things, right? Because maybe family members won't change. They are much elder. The patterns in them are deeply ingrained. Okay, so I'm not even expecting them to change.
Yeah.
Okay. And to be very honest, the only thing that I'm going to say is that only one that you can change is you yourself. Like,
Yeah.
you wanting to change another doesn't work
Yeah.
out. Okay, it doesn't work out. So when I changed myself, when I changed my perspectives, when I emotionally processed everything that had happened with me, now I'm able to come back home and just stay and watch the things playing out in a very objective manner and not take it personally. I have detached myself. I have managed to detach myself because the emotional experience is over. Hence, the detachment comes, right? So now I'm able to detach myself and just watch the same family members doing the same things and not affected by it, right? So I'm able to stick around much more. And you know what happens is when you have changed your vibration, like it starts reflecting on your family members as well. So they also start like slowly, slowly, slowly. It's a slow process. Okay? It's
Yeah.
not like a fast process. It's a slow process. But like over the last 2 months, I have seen them like, break free from the kind of things, the toxic things that they used to talk about generally on a day-to-day basis. because now I do not entertain or engage in those conversations. But initially I would, because I also wanted to defend myself. I also wanted to say something back, and I also wanted to say, no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
But now I'm just like, okay, whatever you want to say, you say it out. I am not going to define it right or wrong. I'm just going to like sit with it. I'm just going to watch you.
I see. Because, this is what I personally feel, that our generation has gone through a lot of family traumas, because our generation was the connecting point between the, let's say, modernized internet world, and compare it to the, let's say, the old generation.
Right.
So I feel we have taken a lot of toll because of this. And if you talk to everyone in our generation, they have X amount of trauma in their families.
100%.
And this is a definitely a real truth, that people do escape it by, let's say, leaving their families, going and migrating and working somewhere else, and finding substance as an escape.
100%. Yes, that's a thing.
Yeah, but I feel the hardest thing is just to stay and face it.
Yeah, it takes a lot of courage.
Yeah, it takes, and I believe for a person to stay and face it, there should be a lot of meaning attached to it. That why am I staying over here and facing this? The cost and benefit, like what's the faida? If I'm staying over here, and if I solve this thing, what is it in return that I'm getting? Like cost and benefit. Personally, this is what I feel. That if, let's say, even if I stay here and I solve all of those past traumas, and let's say even if I solve the traumas of my family members, and if the benefit that I'm getting is surpassing the cost,
Yeah.
only then it makes sense.
Yeah.
Or else, like, what's the point?
So, what do you think is according to you, is the value that you're getting out of this? Like, if you decide to
Yeah.
take the other path, which is the more difficult path.
So you are saying that if I escape it?
No, the more difficult path is definitely
Okay, for
staying.
me.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, the meaning part is that I have stepped in the family business.
Yeah.
So my professional domain is also related to the family now.
Right.
So
Right.
for me, in order to be financially and professionally successful, I need to make peace with the family dynamics as well,
Right.
or else solve it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of meaning for me over there.
Right.
So on the other side, let's say if I escape it, makes no sense, because I can be more successful over here
compared to any other place,
yeah.
right? Yeah, that's the core for everyone. Like,
Yeah, true. But this realization happens after you go through that process. कि भाई ये तो मेरे लिए था.
हाँ, ये तो मेरे लिए था.
Yeah,
Exactly. तो
yeah.
तुम कुछ basically तुम
दूसरों के लिए,
family के
yeah.
साथ अपना रैपो सही नहीं कर रहे हो. What
Yeah.
you're doing is basically you are sorting stuff out for yourself. You are changing your state of mind, your state of being, your experience, which has been associated in a certain way. So you're basically changing all that in the same spot.
Yeah.
For example, I'll tell you this very tiny example. Okay, so for example, if you've worked for a company, right? So, and if you've worked a certain designation over there, right? So you have this set cycle, right? You go to office, you open your laptop, you do that, you do those set of tasks every single day, then you come back home, right? So you have this like monotonous thing going on, which you're doing on a every single day basis.
Yep.
Now, for example, uh, if you are say if you have gone in a different department altogether, right, and if you've got like a different thing to do now, right, but like the first thing, so if you've got into a different department, and suppose your place has changed, right, so like you were working over here, now you're working in a different section where that department is. So but then immediately as soon as you'll open the door and you'll enter the office, you will automatically go towards like the place that you used to earlier sit at, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and it'll take you a few days. It'll take you like 3 to 4 days. Even if you'll go for like your breaks or whatever, your chai break and all of that,
Yeah.
you'll go down, you'll come back, and you'll immediately just like move towards like where you used to sit,
Yeah.
right? So it's the thing. It's a thing we associate, like wherever we have spent time and whatever emotions we have gathered over that time, like it leaves an imprint on it, becomes a pattern of ours, right? So now to change that dynamic with the same place is very important, to rewire ourselves like with the same place. Now like when I walk into my family home, now I'm not feeling heavy. Okay, now I'm not feeling that, oh my God, at any moment there's going to be a fight breaking out, okay, and I need to run and I need to save myself. It's just childhood trauma is basically, it makes you insecure, it makes you feel unsafe. Like, for example, there could be different kinds of traumas. Like, for example, if parents weren't there for you, they weren't attentive and they had like a lot of things to do.
Yeah.
But then apart from that, also, if there were like a lot of fights happening between them, or like anything of that sort, different people have different kinds of it. But basically, all of that sort of leads to the core point that we feel unsafe at our own house. We have felt unsafe as a child. We have felt untended to. Okay, I mean, in the sense that we felt that there was no one caring for us when we were feeling unsafe.
Hmm.
Okay, there was no one nourishing us when we were feeling unsafe.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, khana khilana, all of that, like I do get it, like that becomes part of your physical nourishment. But there was no one tending to you in terms of your emotional nourishment, right? Because they were dealing with their own set of problems, and because of like we were getting affected,
Yeah.
right? Right. So yeah, all of this is into the picture, and I mean, it takes a lot of time, like to heal and to grow and to change that association with the same place, with the same set of people in your life.
So, do you think this whole process of going through pain and suffering helped you evolve spiritually as a person?
Uh, yes, yes, 100%. Like it doesn't. It does come at a price. It comes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And the price, it's not like it does come. I mean, it's not a cost. It's actually like a prize.
It's an
Prize,
investment.
like it's a trophy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're not. So even if I'm spending, say, I'm processing things, right, and
Yeah.
it's difficult processing stuff. So when you're processing stuff, it might happen that like something triggered me and it took a toll on me, right, and I'm unable to do anything with utmost efficiency in
Yeah.
my life, like whether it's my work, whether it's um having a conversation with my partner, I'm getting triggered at every point. Whatever he's saying, I'm just getting triggered about it, right? Like because of something I had gotten triggered about my childhood trauma or somewhere or the other. Okay. So now, to first of all, to acknowledge and embrace the fact that okay, I'm feeling this way, and like I need to process it. Okay, I need to sit with myself. So I sit with myself, and even if it takes me 2 to 3 days to cry it out, to just like release it off my system, and it takes a toll. Like you feel worn out, you feel tired, you feel like you feel demotivated, you feel not so driven in life. Okay, because what you're doing is you're basically sobbing the whole day in a way, right? But it is so important to release. When you release that and when you step out, okay, so it's a whole cycle. It's like a metamorphosis. It's like the butterfly sort of come,
Evolves. Yeah.
yeah, evolves, and like
Yeah.
then it get wings, and
Yeah.
it's literally like when you are done with that emotional process, you literally get wings. Like you become so much more lighter because you have processed your trauma, right? So it is extremely essential. And there are like 100 triggers that we go through in a day that we do not pay much attention to. It's just like किसी ने कुछ बोल दिया और हमको थोड़ा सा बुरा लगा ना कहीं,
Yeah.
ठीक है, पर हम उसको ऑब्जॉर्व कर लेंगे और हम चल देंगे, मतलब
Yeah.
क्योंकि हमारे पास टाइम ही नहीं है प्रोसेस करने के लिए. टाइम
Yeah.
का इंसान के पास.
Yeah.
तो मतलब हम चल देंगे because we have like 10 more things to do in the day,
Yeah.
and then we'll go to sleep, and this will just keep happening. And then for some people who actually do take out the time like once in a year to go for like a 7 day retreat or something like a vipassana per se, okay, then they'll realize ki it's difficult. It's not like because you have suppressed your emotions, you have suppressed all that for a year straight, and now you're going to vipassana, right? So it will at least take you 3 to 4 days to get out of your usual pattern of suppression. And that's when like slowly like your emotions will start surfacing, and that's when you will start analyzing because you have so much time there. Ki, okay, then you will start feeling. because we don't feel to that depth on an everyday basis because of lack of time and other things. And then when you start feeling is when you start releasing. And there is so much, man. There is like a whole lot for 20, 30 years of uh, stored stuff. Do you think you can release it in 7 days? You can't. It's a long process. Like, you have to be attuned to your emotions. You have to do it on an everyday basis, in the sense that do go back home, like, just see what triggered you in the day, sit with it, take time out for yourself for like at least an hour in a day, man,
Yeah.
to feel stuff, right? To
Hmm.
feel, to release. And then you will see that life becomes so much more lighter, like
It becomes easy.
it becomes easier.
Yeah. True. Makes
And
sense.
yeah,
Makes
and you're
sense.
not even triggered by the same things to that extent.
I see. I
Yeah.
see. But that's the thing that if you see what society is, let's say, what are the ideologies that society is advertising right now for, let's say, young population. The point is that it's completely opposite of, like, let's say, what you're saying.
Okay.
What I mean by that is, for example, for a young person,
Yeah,
let's say
yeah,
in mid 20s or let's say early 30s,
yeah,
the only ideology that society is advertising is work, 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 earn,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and fuck everything else. Bas paisa kamao,
Huh.
and that's the only thing that matters. And I feel that it's very, very wrong, because these are the only people that are indulged in a lot of substances because they cannot process the emotions naturally,
Huh.
and so substance is an escape for them,
Yes,
so causing a lot of trouble for young people.
yes.
So yeah, I mean, it's very important to at least have these conversations and advertise these conversations, that how you can keep yourself emotionally and mentally
Yeah.
happy and lighter.
Cry, man. Just cry. It's not so. I swear. Like, you'll feel so much more happier after doing that. Like, And that's what the thing is. Like, nowadays we have, यार कोई vulnerable नहीं है किसी से पता है. This is what I've seen. Like, we are talking as friends or whatever. ठीक है. But even the same set of friends that I really speak with, and I have had them like from childhood,
Yeah.
right? We have those set of things that we do have a conversation about. Apart from that, like a few more other things. But then the point is, nobody is actually talking about their problems, man. Nobody is. Because I don't know what is this image that we have to keep up in front of each other. No, we don't have to.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let's just face it. Like, we all are fucked up in some or the other way. Like, let's
Yeah.
just face it. Like,
Yeah.
let's just accept it, embrace it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I have a certain set of problems I'm dealing with. You might have a certain different set of problems
Yeah.
you're dealing with. But then the point being, like, Mandeep, okay, we are friends, right?
Yeah.
We are friends for a certain reason, right?
Yeah.
That's why, like, if friendship was so deep to that deep, vulnerable levels, we won't need many therapists.
Yeah.
Like, I'm honestly telling you that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm able to tell you, like, what is the actual problem going on with me, like, that I am being vulnerably open to you. It really helps. It makes a lot of deal, because sometimes you just don't. People are not looking for suggestions or advices or how to cope with it or how to get out of it. People are just wanting to have someone that they can be like their true, honest, naked selves.
Yeah.
Like, that's all that we need
Yeah.
as a community. We need to open our hearts to each other, man. Like, that's what we need to do.
And you know what? That's very simple if you look at it. But the problem is that people right now in the society are, I don't know, like, society is becoming toxic and negative. I don't, like, what do you think? Like, what I mean by that is, let's say people feel insecure to open up in front of people and be vulnerable because
Ah,
they have trust issues, and for very specific reasons. I mean, you cannot trust everyone, and even friends. If let's say if we talk about friendship, people are
yeah,
still insecure.
yeah.
कि ये क्या सोचेगा?
हाँ, वो ये दिस इज अ प्रॉब्लम, दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम कि ये क्या सोचेगा,
ये क्या
कोई
सोचेगा?
मेरे बारे में क्या सोचेगा. अरे, तुमको क्या करना है यार. I'm so sorry I'm talking this way.
Yeah, true.
But the thing is कि हाँ, मतलब कोई कुछ भी सोचे यार. The point is that you are living your life. The people also need to understand one very important thing, okay, Mandeep, here, that we are leading our lives. Okay, nobody else is leading our lives.
Yeah.
Okay, our parents are not leading our lives. Our grandparents are not leading our lives. Like our kids will not be leading our lives, and our friends are definitely not leading our lives. Okay. So first of all, to set the attunement with your own self is the primary goal of spirituality, if we actually talk about and come to it, right?
Like you said, that all you need is a shoulder that can help you out sustain through life. Let's say if you talk about friends, let's say if you be vulnerable in front of anyone, all you need is a shoulder to cry upon and who can just listen to you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You need the deep, intimate friendship. You need where you can open up fully,
True,
fully, like, yeah.
true. And I feel that your perspective on this is very ideal. And in order to have this perspective, a person should individually go through a lot of trauma in order to understand this fact.
This fact, mm,
Because personally, people might think that because once you go through that suffering,
hmm,
only then you'll be able to understand what it feels like to be him or her. And
yeah.
if I was at his or her place, what would I need?
So what you're saying is basically you need to have some sort of empathy
Yeah,
with another person,
yeah,
and first you need to actually experience your sort of depth,
yeah,
in your sort of emotional depth as an
yeah,
individual, in order
correct.
to understand someone else's emotional depth.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Spot on. Yeah.
Okay, that is true somewhere. Uh, but see how it works, according to me, is that one person, even if one person is able to realize that what they're going through, right? And if it's not like a great time, and they reach out, they speak up, they are not afraid to ruin their image in front of their friends and family and other people. First of all, that takes a lot of courage to speak up, right? To speak their truth. However pathetic they're feeling, if they feel like if they're going through depression, anxiety of any sort, okay, because of whatever reason. So even if one person does that, it's an effect. It's literally like a butterfly effect, okay? Like you touch upon the nerve of the person who has not been able to say it in front of their friends for years. Okay. Like, for example, if I go vulnerable right now in front of you, and if I talk about, like, oh my God, like, that I am facing something, and, it's so dark, and it's just like, does not feel right to me. And whatever, like, I feel so demotivated in life, or etc., etc., whatever it is that I'm going through. Or, and I feel very conscious or whatever. Like, I'm telling you vulnerably that this is how I'm feeling, Mandeep, right?
Yeah.
It hits the person, man, whoever it is. It hits the person in the sense that they start contemplating, if not about you, their own life,
I see.
what they are going through. They start processing it, because it's because you are talking from a depth, you're talking truth. First of all, truth has this vibration, okay? Like whenever you're speaking the truth, it hits the soul of the person, it hits the heart of the person, okay? It's not anymore an intellectual conversation, or it's not anymore a conversation based out of ideas. It's based out of feelings,
Okay.
right? And it will move the other person on a feeling level, right? Because you are releasing that vibration, like, so that's what it is. So if I am being vulnerable, trust me, within a week, you will start feeling it. You will start being vulnerable very automatically. If not with anyone else, you will have that sort of sense of comfort with me, and you will speak out your truth to at least me.
I see.
Okay. So it's like an effect, but it's just like somebody needs to own it up and be like, हाँ भाई, life झंड है bro, मतलब क्या बताऊँ मैं तुझे, मतलब ऐसा नहीं हो मैंने ये अचीव कर लिया, ये this, like, generally we all talking about, like, what is positive, or accolades, where we have traveled, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I feel like you said that you only need to be you need to have a lot of courage in order to be vulnerable in front of anyone,
Yeah.
right? So adding to that point, personally, this is what I believe that in order to have that much amount of courage, it's very important to know yourself inside out. What I mean by that is it's very important to experience what life can offer you. For example, a lot of traveling, a lot of new experiences, a lot of adventure.
Yeah.
Once a person does that, a person can have a lot of experiences and can know himself or herself inside out. So that fear of judgment decreases comparatively.
Okay, that's what you're saying. So you need to be like well exposed to, well traveled.
Reason being, I'll tell you. Adding on to this. Now,
What I particularly feel is, okay, I'll just interrupt.
yeah,
But like here I feel is that there is a stigma, there is a stereotype, okay, which we have formed as a society over the years.
yeah,
Okay, which needs to break on a societal level also. I'm not saying, I'm not denying the fact that you also need to work on yourself individually. But even as a society, we need to normalize being vulnerable to each other. We need to normalize sharing feelings with each other. Okay, we need to normalize the fact that we can talk beyond a certain depth. We can talk more than just our careers. We can talk more than just like our relationship, family, etc. We can talk how we particularly as an individual are feeling in different dynamics.
I see.
So it's an individual thing. It's an individual transformation. Agreed, but it also needs to be simultaneously normalized as a society. Is what I
True,
think.
makes sense. Because, there was this person, a scientist, I would say, or a researcher. He jotted down certain indexes for
Yeah.
countries. So there are different parameters. Let's say if you need to judge a country's culture, there are certain KPIs for that. For example, there is like how you respect power, or let's say individuality,
Right.
or let's say uncertainty avoidance, and so on and so forth. So, for example, if I compare India with Australia, or let's say if I compare India with US, let's say
Hmm.
in the US, people don't respect the power; people respect the person.
Hmm.
I mean, for example, in India, people respect the power and not the person. For example, मेरे boss है तो भाई boss sir sir, but as a person they wouldn't respect that person.
I get it,
And
huh?
it's vice versa in US. And in India, the uncertainty avoidance is a lot. What I mean by
Hmm.
that is people will earn, but will save up for the uncertainty that might arise in the future. And also, I feel because India has been a developing nation since a very long time,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
will be for a very long time, people have come out of poverty. So that whole mindset of not enjoying life, or let's say not being in touch with your emotions and just sucking it up, like whatever you're facing, it has embedded in the culture a lot. And now, since we are, the purchasing power of every individual in India is increasing,
yeah. Hmm.
and now this mindset and understanding is coming for the Indian culture,
What understanding is coming?
that you need to be in touch with the emotions and you need to take care of
Okay.
your
Yeah.
mental state as well,
Yeah.
because now we are having that purchasing power. Com- it's higher compared to before.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not only just roti kapda makan.
Huh.
It's more than that now.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like it's just like the Maslow's hierarchy. Like once you have taken the care of the fundamentals is when you actually go towards the self-actualization, self-esteem, friendship, family,
Yeah,
all those levels in the
yeah,
pyramid.
yeah. Because I know it's like that. Like if you have nothing in terms of if you have no resources, it doesn't really matter what you feel. You just need to survive,
Yeah.
irrespective. So once that need is well taken care of, let's say if you are financially, if you have let's say good amount of cushion for the uncertainty that might come along, then you can focus on like
Yes.
what you feel
Yeah.
and your mental state.
Yeah. No, I get you what you're trying to say over here. And generally people do have the kind of mindset that, once let's just stabilize ourselves financially or whatever. I would say that sometimes it's I think it's a balance. Life is a what life is in generally, and what you actually see a lot of like philosophers, gurus, everyone sort of talk about. It's a balance of things. Like, to be very honest, okay, now when we're talking about just being stable and earning finance, like being financially good and
Yeah,
at a stable place,
yeah,
what happens to that process is that, first of all, you have collected like a load of traumas, like from childhood, okay, which you haven't processed,
yeah,
okay, and you're carrying that along,
yeah,
okay, through and through your adulthood,
yeah,
right? Now, adulthood itself, like as a phase of life, has another set of traumas, right?
yeah,
which you have again hoarded on top of your
That, yeah.
childhood traumas,
Yeah.
right? Because you're in this like mad blind race of like, making it happen and stuff. So now you have completely, by the time you have reached at a very good financial position, you have completely forgotten how to be in tune with your emotions. You have gotten so much in that like action energy of yours that you cannot sit. I have seen people unable to sit at one place, like because they are always like, oh my god, I need to channelize my energy somewhere or the other else, right? They are not able to sit quietly. It other or else if they sit, uh, for example, I'll just give you like a very tiny example of my own grandmother. Okay, my grandmother has been super active. She's 85 plus now. Okay, she is still so active, a woman. Okay, which is incredible. But I'll also tell you like the flip side of it. She has worked her whole life. Okay, she has been a teacher. She's been on the job. Okay, she has taken care of her entire family, my grandfather's family, her own family, then us, everyone, like literally, like she's a superwoman if you really see to it. But like now she's 85 plus or whatever, she cannot sit without thinking about 100 things. She cannot, like there is always something going on in her head, and she cannot even sit without doing anything. She either needs to start weaving, okay, in order to feel meditative or whatever, like a little passive, or anything else, like. And I mean, it's great that she's working. I'm not denying that she's still working at this point. But then the point is, you develop a pattern, you develop such a strong pattern over the years of being unable to sit in quiet and peace because you've been always so action oriented, man. And and it becomes all the more difficult to like attune yourself or attune to those that emotional side of yours, that you can process. And it takes a lot to process. Then it takes a lot to process at a later stage in life than you can at a younger stage in life. Like trust me, you can still go through it easily at this point. You can still process a lot of your child stuff at this point. And to be honest, I'll there is also a difference in your efficiency, your personal state of being, and your experience of life. That also matters, right? Now, if you're going at a random location to travel, which you often do, right? You have all these unprocessed things like stuck to you inside your body you don't even know about, to be honest. Okay, you're unaware of it. Okay, you don't even know actually what is the potential, what is, how much lighter can you actually feel, because you have never felt that light. Only when you feel that light is when you can trace back, oh my god, I used to feel so heavy back then. It wasn't normal, like it wasn't normal, but I
Yeah.
used to feel normal because that is how I felt all my life. So I didn't know the other side of it at all.
Yeah.
So now when you travel, now even when you're, I have spoken to you about this before also, when I had given you the ice cream example, right? Like
Yeah.
when I'm eating that ice cream, or I'm at
Yeah.
a different location, when I'm watching a scenery, for example, okay, there is a beautiful landscape in front of me, my mind is thinking about everything else, everything else while I'm watching that landscape, right? Like it's just about, okay, like once I go back after 2 days, I have this to do, I have these many meetings. Okay, my mom said this the other day, and it's just so much because you're taking that pause after so long. And it takes you a little while to come back to the present, to come back into this moment, to feel to feel the landscape. Okay, I'm not
Hmm.
talking about just looking at it from your eyes.
I see. So you
Okay.
are saying that the momentum that was there,
Yeah.
let's say if I go on a vacation for like couple of initial days, that momentum will still be there inside of me.
Yeah.
And once that is surpassed, only then I can absorb the present.
The present moment, like how much are we really, like when I'm touching this leaf, how much of this leaf am I able to like feel, you know and how much am I just doing it for the purpose of just cleaning it and like getting done with it. We are doing a lot of things to get done with. Like, that's the problem of this generation. We are not doing things to do them in the sense that we enjoy them. Okay, I am, even if I'm drinking like a sip of this, like, I am, I need to enjoy my water,
Yeah.
man. You get my point? Like,
True.
I need to enjoy each and every sip. That is what life is. Like, that is what living it is, right? At
Yeah.
the end of the day. एंड व्हेन यू जस्ट लाइक नहीं यार, मैं तो 5 करोड़ हो जाएंगे मेरे बैंक अकाउंट में, उसके बाद मैं जाऊंगा मतलब मलेशिया, और उसके बाद मैं एंजॉय करूंगा, और या जो भी है मतलब whatever these ambitions that people do have.
Yeah.
The thing is कि bro, first of all, by the time that you actually do that, you will actually forget how to enjoy only. Okay, so at the first place. Okay, so you'll go, you'll have those certain set of things to do कि हाँ यहाँ पे ये अच्छा होता है, यहाँ पे ये अच्छा होता है, this place is like kick-ass, this bar is like kick-ass, let's just go there, do whatever. You do things on a very surface level. You have forgotten to live deeply. You have forgotten to live like in the present, in the moment. You are doing everything to get a certain outcome out of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, so that's the thing. And my whole point is that, see, we are all like, if I'm catering to this generation today, if I'm like talking to this generation today, the thing is that do what you are required to do, of course, but just like don't forget to live your life, because these years are not going to come back, man. Like, you know how people used to tell us that, oh, school time is the best time, so I'm going to come back, like, and that's what it is. Every year is so significant, every month, every week, every day is so significant. You have to realize the value of every moment, like slowly, and then
True. Because, recently I had an experience. I mean, a very close family member of mine passed away, and he was young. Okay, he was young, and a realization came to me was this: that life is very uncertain. I mean, there's no guarantee if I'll live one another day. I mean, if I say कि भाई मैं एक महीने बाद जाके करूँगा या 2 साल बाद जाके I'll do this, but what's the guarantee that I'll be alive till then?
yeah.
And let's say if this is the only time if I'm going to live, and if I don't have a very long life, then I need to make the best out of it. I
Yeah,
cannot be in that process of tension and anxiety and so on and so forth, because इसका तो कुछ end ही नहीं है.
इसका तो कोई एंड नहीं है.
कोई end नहीं है इसका.
कोई, मतलब suffering is a part of life which let us embrace. It's going to be there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What Buddha has said is that basically you need to be so, I mean, it's only the mind which is suffering. Okay, it's only the mind which is suffering. So once you start realizing and start getting attuned to your at a soul level, start attuning to yourself at more subtle levels, you start realizing that, you know, even the negative things that have happened in your life, your outlook becomes very optimistic and very positive towards that. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about changing the experience of life, right here. Like, even if suffering is coming to you, even if bad things are coming to you, even if good things are coming to you, whatever it is that is coming to you, you are in a very positive state of being throughout.
Yeah.
You are able to keep your calm, you are able to look at it, you are able to be like, ठीक है ना यार, कर लेंगे, ठीक है ना यार, हो जाएगा सॉर्ट, ठीक है.
Yeah.
And I mean, you don't go into a level of anxiety, you don't start feeling the panic, you know, and all those things that comes with it, all the negative emotions that comes with it. So that's what sadhana does. That's what practices like mindfulness, meditation, breathing, all these things that, you know, yoga or whatever, that's what it does. It brings you back to yourself. It brings you back to yourself in a state of awareness where you are able to feel, where you are able to observe your own thoughts, your own way of thinking, your, and when you observe them, they naturally change, they naturally start changing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's the, I mean, we all need to meditate.
Yeah, true. And see, that's the thing, that personally what I think is that it should be advertised in a big way in the society. That's not happening right now. So, do you think that, let's say, people do embrace good times?
Hmm.
Do you think a person should also embrace the suffering and the pain that that is happening. Okay, but
Yeah.
ye mil raha hai, I'm supposed to go through this because I'm supposed to evolve as a person, and this thing will make me evolve in life.
See, when suffering arises, when like something bad happens with you, for example, like for even when there is a breakup that happens with you, for that matter, right? Like people do get, like it's natural to get depressed, natural to get sad about things,
Yeah.
right? I do not get people who get up the next day and be like, "Oh, मैं तो अपने काम में इतना घुस जाने वाला हूँ या वाली हूँ that you know,
मैं भूल जाऊंगा.
अब मैं तो भूल
Yeah.
जाऊंगा इसको. I am going to turn more ambitious. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to make a body, you know, which is so hot that
Yeah.
I don't need that person in my life, and I can get like a plenty others. Okay. Like I'm not denying the fact that I wasn't in the mindset before. Like I also used to be like, ठीक है मैं नहीं process करना चाहती हूँ इसको, मैं करूँगी काम बहुत सारे, ठीक है. I have been there, like of
Yeah.
course I've been
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That's why I can talk about it so like openly,
Yeah.
right? So that's what the thing is, that even if there is a breakup that has happened with you and you are feeling depressed, you're feeling sad, man, take time to process it. Accept the fact that you feel terrible about it and you were so attached to the person. Just embrace these hard, harsh truths. Okay, do not run away from it. Running away is not going to do any good to you. That's what the thing is. So I've had such incidences, and like I've often just I have felt like, oh my god, a part of me has died, because you know when you're working out of when you're working in a relationship out of a very attachment codependent relationship, when
Yeah.
you're in a codependent relationship,
Yeah.
right, which I have been, to be very honest. Okay, it's when like over the course I have realized that you know how toxic are codependent relationships. Like you need to find your own happiness and share it rather than like finding happiness in another person. So when I was one like in such
All right.
dynamic,
Wait a second. Let me go back. Let me
okay,
go. So the statement that you said, that a person should find happiness in himself or herself rather than finding it in the partner.
yeah,
Very interesting.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. So for that, then if you're talking about that particular statement, then it's very important that a person should be responsible for himself or herself in order to get evolved as a person. Because I can only be happy if I can experience life at its fullest.
uh, no, yeah. You can only be happy only when you experience life at your fullest. Uh, so you need to give yourself time on priority. I'm not denying that. Yeah, that
Yeah.
needs to be happening. Yeah, you need to give yourself time. That's the core of anything. And
Yeah. Again,
yeah,
we go back to the society. Then
but
yeah, the things that are being advertised are not good. Because again, if I look at it,
huh,
you wouldn't find people who are advertising that, okay, give time to yourself, have experiences in your own life, and be happy.
okay, like that.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
mean,
happiness is never advertised, let's say, on the broader front.
I mean, the
What do you
thing
think?
is, there is a very different association of happiness that people have formed. Like, you know, I don't know, like what happiness is for people, but sometimes achieving a certain thing is what gives them happiness. Sometimes going to the gym is what gives them happiness. Sometimes doing a certain activity is what gives them happiness. But you have to find that source of happiness for yourself at an individual level. So here's what the thing is, right? So you're when you I was recently watching one of these Mind Valley podcasts only, okay, where there was this one woman who had come up to give the session, and you know what she said, like it was such a brilliant thing that she said. Oh my god, it was so beautiful. But then the point being that happiness lies in your very purpose. Okay, when you're aligned with your purpose is when you're the most happy,
Now, how do a person
realize
find
their
some meaning?
purpose.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
the
now
purpose.
I am now here. I'm not really talking about the actual purpose that you're born for. That might take its own course. That might take its own time that you come to a realization. But see, like here, I'm talking about more or less like, for example, I as an individual, I absolutely. I might have like a job which is a 9 to 9 job, okay, at an IT firm that I go to. Okay, so I'm going to that firm every single day. I'm doing the same set of things or whatever. But the point is that, maybe when I was a kid, I used to love dancing, right? I used to absolutely love dancing, like like
Yeah.
we all know it, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is that after I grew up to a certain age, I just stopped, like, very naturally, because I had so many other responsible things to do in my
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
As what the society recommends to do, like, that you need to have a stable job and everything, which you of course need to. But in while having that, you have to realize that you need to stay aligned with things that used to give you happiness, that used to give you like a sense of fulfillment. And that might be anything, Mandeep, that might be different for different people. But stick to it, identify it, and do it. Don't be like कि यार मेरा तो इतने बजे इतने मीटिंग है. नहीं, prioritize करो, because that's what prioritizing yourself is.
True.
And until and unless you take that 1 hour away from your 12-hour routine and be like, no, this hour is going to be for myself and nothing else, no one else, right? And I am going to do the things in this that I love to do. Okay, and slowly you'll start seeing that, that 1 hour that you have given to yourself, whether it's in the form of like you're going to a singing class, you're dancing, maybe you used to love to paint, or you're meditating for that matter.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have given that to yourself, the rest of your day becomes so lively, because you're carrying that energy, because you're carrying that sense of fulfillment, you're carrying that, like, love for yourself throughout the day. तो मैं ये नहीं बोल रही हूँ तुम अपना जॉब छोड़ो ब्रो, अपना जॉब करते ही रहो, ओके, अर्न, लाइक वी ऑल नीड टू अर्न, राइट? बट do things that actually ignites the sense of purpose in you, that you feel good about, okay? And when you do those things, do prioritize those things, naturally the boring things in life also become fun. Like,
Yeah. Makes
because
sense.
it's not about the thing being boring. I'll tell you this again. Tasks are not boring. A state of being becomes boring. A state of being becomes mundane, because we are not fueling ourselves with the things that we like. So once our state of being becomes joyful, then anything that I do, whether it's like washing bartans, or like if I do like jhadu pocha, if I do like my regular computer job, okay, if I drink tea, anything that I do, I will find a sense of joy in it, because my state has changed. The tasks are going to remain the same. So no task is boring. Like, it's basically we are not fun enough anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe again, identifying that activity takes a lot of effort.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain hobbies, activities that everyone does have. It's just like people need to push themselves to do
True.
it, because they don't give them priority, because क्योंकि सोसाइटी में ऐसा है ना कि यार जिस चीज से पैसे आ रहे हैं ना, मतलब वो ही एक्चुअली इज वर्थ डूइंग. देयर इज वर्थ अटैच्ड टू इट. ठीक है, देयर इज अ सेंस ऑफ वर्थ अटैच्ड टू इट, दैट व्हेन यू हैव दैट money in your bank account, you feel great about it and you feel independent, right? So there is some sense of worth attached to it, but people have forgotten that, what, there is a sense, there is the word of self love attached to the activity that you do, which is greater than anything. The Like, there is a word of happiness attached to it, because these are all intangible things, right? You're not talking about like an actual piece of paper, like, which is going to like get you stuff. You're talking about here the emotions, the feelings, the sense of happiness and stuff like that, a sense of greater purpose, a sense of belonging, all of these things, which people have now, they are not, like, they think that it's not worthy, like, because it's not tangibly worthy. But these are the most priceless things that you have in life, and that's going to actually fuel you in life. So prioritizing these things is extremely important, is what I believe.
So it's very necessary. And let's say if a person is moving on a path of spirituality, how important is it to have a guru?
How important is to have the guru? Okay, so that here's the thing. Uh, See, scientifically, if I really decode it, so there is a lot of like brain activity that happens when you're meditating, right? So basically, you reach states of theta, you reach states of alpha, beta, theta waves.
Oh,
Okay,
really?
there are
Okay.
these waves inside your brain. Okay, so even if you will just YouTube it, you will get like a sense of like what I'm talking about. But you reach those state of beings, okay, where it is where what is happening exactly is that your subconscious is getting cleared. Your subconscious is getting cleared in the sense whatever you had hoarded all over your childhood, whatever traumas you had hoarded, whatever you have hoarded subconsciously. For example, if I'm sitting over here and there are like 10 other things happening in and around, I am not looking at those 10 other things, but my mind is such a vast thing that it will grasp a lot of background things that are going around, right? Unknowingly, subconsciously, right? So that's what happens. Like even when we are going about our day, like maybe I'm very mindlessly scrolling the stuff. I'm not actually very keenly looking at everything, whatever I'm doing. But all of that is getting registered in your subconscious. Every single thing. Okay. Like even a random stranger passing through anything. So our our subconscious mind is so hoarded with stuff, like so much. So what meditation is doing is it is getting you in the state of subconscious, and it is releasing all that stored stuff which is unnecessary in your life, which just does not need to be there in your mind at all. It is emptying your mind, right? So when you reach that state, so it starts releasing stuff, and you know what happens. So that's what the trick is in meditation. Whenever people start meditating, the
Yeah.
general problem that people face is, the most common problem is that, oh my god, when I sit I get like many more thoughts than I usually get like when I'm doing something, right?
Yeah.
And like my mind starts flooding with things. It is happening because when you're meditating and when you're not doing anything, it is your mind is like, okay, I have to reach this state, I have to reach the alpha state, and I have to bring out all the trash that this person has stored inside the subconscious out.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
it's flooding out. It's literally when you initially first week when you're sitting for meditation, everything will flood out. Some random stuff that has happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago will also start coming on the surface. You're like, oh my god, I thought like I have processed it or I have forgotten about this, but I'm sitting for meditation and it's randomly coming to my head. Okay, some random kitten you might have kicked, like it's just I'm just
Yeah.
giving an example. Okay, some when you were a child, that will also start popping up,
Yeah.
and you're like, I don't know when all these thoughts are coming up. Like, why are all these thoughts coming up? And people leave it, people quit it, people are like, oh, I can't handle
नहीं
it.
हो रहा ठीक है
Nahi ho pa raha hai. But it is the part of the process. Like that's what it is. Your subconscious is releasing all that stored stuff initially. Okay, because you're reaching like a state of alpha. Your subconscious is releasing whatever is stored inside you, and then slowly when you reach the second week, when you reach the third week of meditating, you'll start realizing, oh my god, there was so much inside my head that has already been released, and I can think with so much of clarity, I can live life with so much of clarity. It's absolutely stunning, the results of meditation when you start doing it. In the second and the third week only, you will start feeling like okay, I can think clearly, because there is less stuff inside my head.
I see.
And when you reach states like of deeper states of meditation, like when you reach like a theta state or something, there what is exactly happening is your subconscious getting rewired, like you're going to such a deeper level of existence, of consciousness in general, that you're maybe I had a pattern of doing something a certain way which was stuck to me for 15-20 years of my life. It is difficult to break such a pattern. But when you're meditating on an everyday basis, when you're reaching depths of meditation on an everyday basis, it is so easier to, for example, smoking. Okay, if I had been smoking cigarettes for a long period of time, trust me, like if you start meditating and within 2 months of meditation, if you actually properly do your practice, okay, you will stop feeling the urge and the need to. like smoke, because it's rewiring. If you're reaching the depth of meditation, it rewires your subconscious. You're able to like grasp anything very quicker. You're able to drop anything very quicker. Like it becomes like a very that kind of process. So life becomes comparatively a lot more easier, to be very
I
honest.
see.
Yeah. And importance of having a guru in that, a guru makes you reach those states faster, much faster than you can do it on your own, because a guru is already vibrating at that level. A guru has already reached the depths of meditation. He is at a position where he is vibrating at such a high frequency that when you are around that person, when you're in his aura or her aura, okay, when you're in that proximity, naturally the frequency that you are at will rise. And when it will rise, and when you'll start going inwards in their frequency, because they are at another level of consciousness. So when we are around them, and when we close our eyes, and when we dive inwards, you will reach deeper states of meditation at a much faster pace. You will change as a human being at a much faster pace. You will release trauma at a much faster pace. You will become your best version at a much faster pace. I mean, just guru just amplifies the entire process, because they are already there. Like, and when you come in their proximity, how I told you like earlier, right? Like when I'm being vulnerable, and people around me see that, like, naturally, like a couple of people will pick up from there and start being a little more vulnerable to me than they were before, right? So it is because I have reached that depth, right, that the next person is able to pick that up and trying to reach there. It's the similar, like guru has reached that depth, and when we are around them and trying to fulfill the same purpose of reaching self actualization, we are naturally able to achieve the theta states, the alpha states much easier. Like the process
I
becomes so
see.
much more smoother.
I see.
Yeah.
So there's this problem that I used to face. I've stopped meditating now.
Yeah.
I used to do it before, but the problem that I used to face was that my eyes used to vibrate after a while.
Mm.
So have you experienced? I mean, after a while, my eyes used to vibrate. Like,
Eyes used to vibrate.
yeah.
Okay. So there are different experiences that a different individual will have, to
So it
be
used to
honest.
flutter. My eyes used to flutter.
It used to flutter.
Yeah.
Because there's so many vibrations. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it might happen like okay. It
Yeah.
might happen like different kind of experiences unfold with different people. Okay, there is a lot of other things also associated with every individual, because see, it's a matter of chakras also. Like your different kind of chakras are there. Like if you follow the yogic path, you
Okay. So
will
can you shed some light on chakras?
on chakras.
Yeah.
So see, if you follow spirituality in general, you will be either taught or you will get to know it on your own, like when you're on this path naturally, that there are 7 chakras in the body,
All right.
in your subtle body.
Okay.
Your subtle body as in your soul body.
Yeah.
Yeah, in your at soul level.
Okay.
Okay. So those are from root chakra to the crown chakra.
Okay.
Okay, there are 7 chakras, and every chakra is associated with a certain emotion.
Okay.
Okay, with a certain quality, with a certain element, with a certain set of balances. When it's balanced, there are a certain effects. When the chakra is imbalanced,
There are
that
different
means the
effects.
flow of
Okay.
energy is not proper. There are a certain effects to it. So these are what chakras are, and it is also associated with different body parts of us. Okay.
Akshita, thanks a lot for coming at the Chambal Talk. The intent was to just give some idea to the viewers and the audience about spirituality and everything related to it. And I feel the things that we are talking about, it's not a 1 hour conversation. It's definitely, it will have multiple episodes where we can talk about different various subjects
Yeah.
and bifurcate each and everything. So yeah, it's the one. Looking forward for more.
It's one.
It's the one podcast that we have done. Looking forward
And we
for
are
more.
looking forward for more.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like, and it was a pleasure, to be honest, like, to be coming here and to be verbal and vocal about all these things that,
Mhm.
that people are sort of gaining that awareness. They are talking about it
Yeah.
nowadays a
Yeah.
lot more than before.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, like more the conversations, like more the change, the wave of change that sort of like, helps the community also out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Definitely. It's
So
it's
it was a
that time,
delight.
Yeah.
Thank you, like, so
No
much
worries.
for
No worries
calling
at all.
me.